Welcome to a place where hearts unwind, infinite threads that gently bind, love and compassion in every line. Together we rise through space and time.
Welcome back to Infinite Threads. I'm your host, Bob. This week we've been looking at love through the lens of wonder. Not trying to pin it down too tightly. Just noticing how mysterious that it really is. A stranger can become part of a home. A person can remain close across distance. Love can find us before we feel ready, then begin changing our lives before we fully understand what is happening. Today, as we close the week, I want to think about that change. Because love does not simply visit us. It leaves something behind. Sometimes the change is easy to see. A person becomes more patient because someone had patience with them. Someone who spent years feeling unwanted begins to believe they have a place in the world. A frightened heart slowly learns that closeness does not always end in harm. Other changes happen so quietly that we only recognize them later. We catch ourselves responding with more gentleness than we once would have. A memory softens an old reaction, or someone else's pain reaches us sooner. We realize that love has been working on us all along. That may be one of the greatest miracles. I'm tongue-tied today, guys. I'm sorry. Love can enter through an ordinary moment and keep unfolding for years. A conversation may last 10 minutes, yet something said there becomes part of how we live. A kindness offered during a difficult season can influence choices that the giver will never witness. The moment ends, but its meaning does not. I think human beings are changed this way more often than we know. We tend to imagine transformation as something dramatic, a sudden revelation, a clean break between who we were and who we become. Real life is usually much less tidy. Growth happens in small turns. Someone treats us with respect, and the next time we encounter another wounded person, we remember how that felt. A friend gives us room to speak honestly, so we become less afraid of the truth. Love opens a door, then leaves us free to decide whether we will keep walking through it. That freedom matters. Love does not force us into goodness. It offers us a glimpse of what goodness feels like from the inside. After that, the choice becomes ours. We can carry the gift forward. We can let it stop with us. Most of the time, we probably do a little of both. We're still human. We do get tired. Old fears return. There are days when love feels natural, and others when it asks more of us than we think we have. Even then, something may still be growing underneath. A seed does not look like a tree. For a long time, it looks like almost nothing. The same may be true of the love we receive. It settles into places that we can't always see. Later, when life asks something of us, the roots begin to show. Maybe we remain calm with someone who is afraid, and maybe we offer forgiveness without denying the hurt. Maybe we decide not to pass along a wound that was passed to us. That last one, that feels especially important. So much pain travels through generations because no one knew how to stop carrying it in the same form. Love can interrupt that journey. Not by pretending that the pain never happened, but by changing what happens next. A person who was spoken to harshly may choose a gentler voice with their own child. Someone who learned to expect abandonment may stay present during a difficult conversation. A family history can bend in a new direction because one person decides the old pattern will not continue through them. A decision. We make these choices, guys. This is a miracle too. Not flashy, not perfect, but real. We often look for love in what it gives us directly. Comfort, companionship, a sense of belonging. And those gifts matter, guys. Yet, love also gives us a new responsibility. Responsibility. Once we know what it feels like to be seen, it becomes harder to ignore the unseen. Once someone has made room for our humanity, we begin to understand how much that room can matter to someone else. Love enlarges our awareness, and that can be beautiful. But you know what? It can also be uncomfortable. The more we care, the more we notice. Pain that once felt distant begins to feel personal. A stranger's grief becomes harder to brush aside. We may start questioning things we once accepted because love has widened the circle of who feels real to us. That widening is part of the transformation. The heart does not simply become softer, it becomes more awake. That's a buzzword people don't like these days, I know. A soft heart can still be wise. It can set boundaries. It can recognize danger. Love doesn't require us to remain where harm is happening. Sometimes growth means learning that compassion for others does not cancel compassion for ourselves. That can be a difficult lesson too. People buck the system. People who care deeply are often tempted to carry more than belongs to them. They may confuse love with rescuing. They may keep giving until nothing remains. Of course, it's not true that nothing ever, love's always there. But love is not meant to erase the person offering it. Healthy love makes room for truth. It lets care and honesty live in the same house. And that kind of balance usually takes time. Perhaps that's why the title today feels right to me. We're not a finished miracle. We keep becoming one. We're always becoming. Life is still shaping us every day of our whole lives. There are parts of the heart that we have not visited yet. There are fears that may soften when the right kind of patience reaches them. There are ways of caring that we've not learned because life has not asked them from us yet. Who we are today is not the final form. That thought right there gives me hope. It means our worst moment doesn't have to become our permanent identity. A person can learn. A heart can reopen. Someone who has caused harm can face what they did and choose another path. Change does not erase responsibility, but responsibility can become part of change. Love does not merely reassure us that we are fine as we are. Sometimes it tells us the truth gently enough that we can finally hear it. That may be one of the deepest forms of care. To see the good in a person without ignoring the places where they are still hurting others. To believe in who they may become while remaining honest about who they are today. Real love has room for that complexity. It doesn't need to turn anyone into a saint or a villain. It remembers that people, all people, are living stories. Some chapters are painful, and some are beautiful. Many are both at once. I bet that that's the way most of us know it to be, both at once. The miracle lies partly in the fact that another chapter can still be written, and we forget that sometimes. We decide too quickly that people never change. Certainly some don't easily. Others surprise us. A person we had given up on begins doing the hard work. Someone who once lived behind walls becomes safer to know. A heart that seemed closed finds a way to open one small window. Transformation may not arrive in the form that we expected. It may come late. It may move slowly. That doesn't make it meaningless. The same is true in our own lives. There may be parts of us that still feel unfinished. Old habits, old grief, places where trust remains just difficult. Love doesn't shame us for needing time. It keeps inviting us toward greater wholeness. The invitation may come through another person. It may arrive through loss. Sometimes it comes when we realize that we have become the one someone else is looking to for safety. That moment right there, that can change us. We begin to understand that our words have weight. Our presence affects the room. What we choose to carry forward may become part of another person's story. So do you want that to be part of another person's story? Think on that before you act. That's both humbling and beautiful, guys. None of us moves through the world without leaving something behind. A tone, a memory, a feeling someone associates with being near us. The question is not whether we will have an effect. The question is what kind of effect our life is becoming. Love gives us the chance to become a place where another person breathes more easily. Not because we have every answer either, but because we meet them without cruelty. We listen long enough to understand more than the first sentence. We refuse to make their vulnerability feel like a mistake. Those choices, I know that those choices may seem very small. For someone who has rarely felt safe, guys, they're not small at all. They're huge. This is how the miracle keeps moving. One person is loved well. Something inside them changes. Later, another life receives the benefit. The first giver may never know. They're way down the line. Love does not always need to know where it went. It simply travels. That may be why it feels larger than us. We participate in it, but we do not control the whole journey. A kindness can leave our hands and enter a future that we will never see. And that does not make the act less important. It may make it more sacred. We're part of something whose full shape remains hidden. Perhaps that is the mystery that we've been circling all week long. Love is intimate, yet its reach can be enormous. My great-great-grandmother said and did things that inspired her children and her grandchildren after her, all the way to me. A child raised in tenderness may carry that tenderness into rooms decades later. My mother talks about her mother. She talks about her grandmother. And she talks about them with such love and such wonder. And so that love came from somewhere. And it worked its way all the way to me. And then I spread it wherever I can. And it comes all the way from back there. And then before her. That's just where we can trace it. Is to my great-great-grandmother. No one sees the entire chain. Still, the chain exists. I like to think that much of the goodness in the world began somewhere that we'll never know. A quiet act, a patient voice, a person who stayed. The visible moment passed, but the influence continued. Maybe some of the love that has reached us began long before we were born. Guys, that's something I want you to think about going forward. That's what Infinite Threads is about. Infinite Threads is about the threads that come from history, that come for us, that are connecting us down the line. And of course, some of those threads are corrupted. Some of those threads have damage. But none of those threads are useless. None of them are ones that we should give up on. And they go far beyond death. I have a different belief in death, and I think you can follow that through what I'm talking about, through Infinite Threads. We are still connected to everyone that has been in our lives and everyone that's currently in our lives. As this week comes to a close, I keep thinking about how extraordinary it is that we are capable of becoming more loving than we once were. We're not trapped entirely by instinct or history. The past influences us, but it does not have to own every future choice. There is room for grace. There is room for learning. There is room for a human being to meet love and become someone new. Not all at once and not without setbacks, but truly new. That's the miracle that we keep becoming. We are shaped by every sincere act of care that reaches us, then invited to add something of our own. It's like that never-ending story that you just add to and you add to. The process never really ends. Love keeps finding another place to grow. Thank you. Thank you for spending this week with me on Infinite Threads. I know these last couple of days I've gone on a lot longer and off on some tangents even away from what I've written. But I think it's all important. And you all know that I love you all very, very, very much. Maybe we're meant to live inside of love long enough that someone else can feel the difference. And in doing that little by little, we become part of the miracle ourselves. Again, I love you guys very, very much. And you know what I need you to do. Well, pass that on, okay? Later, Gators. Bye-bye.
Fears